All right, good morning, good evening, and a real good night here from the Nifty Q show. Welcome in. We are interviewing founders, leaders, and builders in the non-fungible token industry. Today I'm sitting with a fellow 2017 DJ and Carlini to discuss what he's seeing in the current NFT markets, co-founding NFTBoxes, updates on Purrnelopes Country Club, and much more. Carlini, how are you doing here today, my man?
We are interviewing founders, leaders,
Hey,
and
I am
builders
great,
in the
thanks.
non-fungible token industry.
Little
Today I'm
tired.
sitting with a
It's
fellow
just gone
2017 DJ
midnight here,
Carlini to
but very
discuss what
happy
he.
to be here chatting to you and just talking about the good old days.
It was the good old days, man. I want to say a quick shout out to Tigbo as well for getting this set up. I know we were supposed to do this episode a couple times, man. So thank you for coming in. I know we were trying to get it together 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago, and things kind of got away from us. But that happens in the NFT space, man. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, cool. Just happy that it could happen. I was looking forward to it then, sad it couldn't, but yeah, let's get into it.
Oh, 100%. So we'll kind of get into your background here. Before we get started, I did want to know, I had a project on a couple weeks ago that was very pet focused. It was like cat VR or cat AR project, and I had to ask the founder if they were either a cat or a dog lover. You got Purrnelopes here. Are you a cat person or are you a dog person?
Well, I have three cats and no dogs, so I guess that's they're just easy. Dogs are hard.
Yeah, dogs are. I will give you that. They're a little bit needy, as they say. So, let's get started, man. I want to touch on your background a little bit before the 2017 timeframe. Obviously, that's going to be a big portion of our discussion. I think as it relates to the markets today. I think a lot of people can learn some things that we went through in those experiences. But before 2017, what were you doing as an individual, as a person, besides being a cat owner?
So I was in crypto. I was mainly drawn in by Ethereum. I did a little bit of Bitcoin mining. I'm not entirely sure of the year. All I know, it was my old house that I was in 2014, 2015. So I remember about a 2 week period where I mined a little bit, and then I've still got the PC, but that hard drive's been wiped so many times that's long gone. I just tell myself it wouldn't have been much even at the top, just so I feel better. Um, then I just loved Ethereum. I love getting rid of the middleman. So I know a lot of people, they get into crypto to down with the banks or whatever. Uh, but for me, it's the NFT meme. It was the utility. I loved that stuff was actually happening. You could actually talk about something that was going to happen in the future. So I bought, a little bit of Bitcoin in maybe 2015, a bit more crypto in 2016. I think that's when I first picked up ETH. Even more in 17, and then straight into NFTs. But what I was doing work wise was I was a professional gambler. So I was looking for. It started out with something called match betting, where you kind of gamble on both sides of a bet. So a tennis game is a good example. You bet on one player or the other player, but you play the odds so that no matter what happens, you profit. And it kind of snowballed into casino, roulette, slots, just making sure that I was always playing with an edge. And yeah, for 5 years, that was my full time job.
I've talked with a lot of people on my podcast throughout the time, and although everyone kind of has a interesting background, I would say like the most common are gamblers. Is there a reason why there's a lot of gamblers in the crypto space?
I think we all know we're in one big casino here, but when you gamble full time, there's a certain mentality you need. You need to be okay with losses, and I think that's something right now we're going to see quite a lot as the markets are dipping right now. The people who stay are most likely already, okay with managing these sort of markets, and when you get used to losing lots and winning lots and huge swings, it makes it a little easier. We're already seeing Twitter be quite a lot quieter than say a month or two ago. So I think some people that maybe couldn't handle the swings have already stopped looking at their phones so much.
What are you doing in a market like this when it comes to maybe a little bit quieter on Twitter, of course, from I guess the lot of everyone, but what are your day-to-day changes like between a bear market and a bull market?
I'm putting my thumbs together, my fingers. I'm making a triangle, and I'm saying building. In reality, the day-to-day work, I work on Penelope's Country Club. That's just every day, bear market, bull market. What I have to do probably changes. So I do have to adapt to the market conditions for what we do for the community or what sort of information we put out. In my personal degenning, I guess just think I haven't really minted in a while. I bought. I guess the last thing I really did was the Bored Apes land drop.
What'd you make of that?
I. Oof, how long we got?
At least an hour.
I guess my view is they wanted to do a different type of drop, couldn't figure it out, and then just went for a gas war and made up this wave system, which I actually think is genius for other people that aren't Bored Apes. I think it's a great system for, say, me to use, but they already knew that wave one it was selling out because they already had all the numbers, they knew how many KYC'd, so I think they just couldn't figure out how to do a Dutch in ape where the ape was going to arrive like an hour after it was sent. Said, okay, get rid of that. For whatever reason, we have to do this sale in April. It just felt like a rush to get it out job to me.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast you were doing recently, and you were talking about I don't care whether it was a Dutch auction for 1,000 ETH. The Dutch auction should have happened to allow for an accurate market price, and they didn't do that, and that's what led to this kind of crazy movement that you kind of saw, or I guess event that you kind of saw with the other deeds land.
Yeah, the longest gas war we've ever seen, I think.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Ape Token? I don't want to spend a whole rabbit hole discussion, but I wanted to get your thoughts on Ape and where it's at right now.
The thing I like the most about it, the most interesting thing, just looking at it from afar, I do hold Ape, but I'm just too busy to really dig deep into everything, all the proposals and everything that they're suggesting. So I just pick someone and I allocate my votes to them. But the part that interests me is this the first time we've seen a DAO say no. Normally, what a DAO means is team suggests something, DAO says yes. The apes are fighting back. They're not happy that. I guess the team is saying nothing, right? Because the team aren't the one making the proposals. It's the board members or their companies, and the proposals mostly have been subpar. So it was nice to see, I guess, a more real DAO. Like they're really actually working on it.
Yeah, I know you guys have your token that you've mentioned multiple times on a lot of the blog posts, a lot of the Twitter posts that you guys have mentioned on your roadmap as well. So I know a DAO and all of these pieces that kind of come with a decentralized community are important. So anything you can take from what happened with Ape and their DAO to what you're doing with Purrnelopes, Purrnelopes?
Well, ours is slightly different because I don't think the Bored Apes model work for many projects. I think it works for them because they are Bored Apes. But I've gone for a daily yield for my token, because all that does is it continuously adds value to our NFT as we then build on the token. Whereas Bored Apes have said this token is completely separate. we're going to work on Bored Apes, and the board who we found, and they're all, I don't know how these people have time to work on the board, because co-founder of Reddit, who then invested 100 mil in Moonbirds and all of this stuff, and then founder of Amoika, and all of these high-ranking people in the space, they're going to be leading Ape. It does make it more of a DAO, and maybe that's why we haven't seen why we've seen the rejections. It's not just yes, 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 because they're thinking, right, this isn't the team. But that's not the route I'm taking. I think that fails for most projects. So I've avoided it.
You seem to have a good mind for looking at these different tokenomics issues. Do you think their token distribution was something that you would do differently, or how did you make of the dropping the initial Ape coin to the holders of Ape in the, I guess, percentage that they did, but just in general, that token distribution? How do you think it went?
I think it depends on what the DAO do. Because they're proposing staking at the moment, and I don't know if you've seen Kobe's write-up on staking, where how have we gone from staking meaning something to it effectively being lock it up so price goes up. So the proposal of staking by the DAO that did get voted down, but I haven't kept up the last few weeks, they may have slipped an amended version through, is pretty much if you don't stake your token, you are losing value because everyone else is earning new token. Like if everyone stakes and it just sits there and they get more token, your token is being devalued unless you stake. And if you stake, you're not really everyone thinks, oh, I'm earning Ape because I'm staking. But in reality, what's actually happening is you're just not losing value. Everyone is if everyone stakes, everyone's got more Ape, but that's the problem. Everyone has more Ape, so you're not actually more well off. You might as well just double it. So because the staking isn't really for anything, I don't particularly like the route they're taking.
All right, so I don't want to make it too far down a Bored Ape rabbit hole. I'm sure there's other places you guys can go for that. So let's go back a little bit to 2017. I've got a little guy here that I like to bring out from time to time. Not too much, but I've got my man here, a little Crypto Kitty action. So
oh, yeah.
I want to get your thoughts, man, on being early when it came to NFTs. I know there were some NFTs beforehand. I was never involved. My first run-in with non-fungible tokens was definitely Dapper Labs, CryptoKitties. But tell me your experience there in 2017 and maybe before then with NFTs.
Oh, you've put me in a tough spot because I say CryptoKitties so much that the Purrnelopes community have almost a drinking game built around it. Whenever I say
take a shot,
whenever I say it, they drink. So yeah, there were stuff before, obviously, but in my opinion, CryptoKitties was the first real community around an NFT project. I know that there were people around different projects. There was a couple of art projects, and obviously there was Punk's. But when you go back and look at Punk's Discord, it was tiny at the time, really, in comparison. And I put a tweet out at one point, maybe about half a year ago at this point. CryptoKitties 2017 December, they had the same amount of posts in their Discord as the Punk's Discord from its inception in, I think it was June 2017 until 2021. So that's it. It was something along the lines of 3.5 years it took Punks to do the first month of CryptoKitties Discord editing, Discord posting, sorry, which just shows the scale is really hard to get across to people how big it was, because I guess I take it back to the old days in gaming where right now if you want to play a game, there are so many options. You open up Steam and everyone's got 200 games they've bought installed and not played. Whereas when I was a kid, if you bought a game, you played it because there were not many options. And back then, there was pretty much one NFT community that you could be in, get responses, actually chat about NFTs in real time. Like if you went to Punk's Discord and tried to talk, it would take, you'd have left your PC by the time you got a reply. Whereas CryptoKitties, it was, by the time you've typed out your next sentence, there were 10 more posts. It was the place to be that month. So it was very eye-opening of what Ethereum could do, I guess.
Could do and could not do as well.
Yes, the funny thing about back then is when they say, CryptoKitties killed Ethereum, it took gas to levels that we saw as normal last year. Like, oh, it's down to 200, not much is on. Whereas for CryptoKitties, it went from, sub 1 to 100 and everyone freaked out because they couldn't do anything. When in reality, they could do something because Ethereum didn't break. It was just too expensive. And I always find it funny because, back then when it broke, it was maybe $50 for a high-end transaction. And people will send Ethereum now for 250 last year. So,
What did CryptoKitties, I guess, like, enlighten in your mind that this was actually going to be more than what it was at the time, right? Like, of course, there were pictures on the screen. NFTs weren't really a thing again during that time. I know it's like a very trendy word. A lot of people, even in the general space, know maybe NFT as a term, but non-fungible tokens as they exist today. But back then, there wasn't really this zeitgeist. There wasn't really this understanding. What hit for you? What was that light bulb moment of seeing Dapper Labs' creation on the screen?
It was playing an MMORPG, but you were in your world. I know technically when you were playing the game and you were minting and you were selling, you were doing it on the CryptoKitties website, but because you weren't really in it, if you download a game, you open it up, or even going way back when you'd play on Miniclip, it was just so different when you're actually playing a game. It just didn't have that feeling of you were going somewhere else to do what you were doing. You were doing it exactly where you were. You owned these things and you were selling them in real time, and you saw the balance go up. And obviously money is a big driving force in this space, and the money felt like a leaderboard. I was making much more at the time gambling every day than I was, I remember aiming for an Ethereum a day, breeding CryptoKitties and selling them, and at that point an Ethereum maybe $400-500, where I was probably doing 3-4. So this was at the start of December. I know it ran up.
Yeah.
It was quite a crazy December. So at one point it did hit 1.3. So it might be £400-500 just because I'm in the UK. So that might be what I'm remembering. But like gambling, I was doing £4,000 EV in a day, but I wasn't drawn to do that. I was drawn to this game of breeding and selling cats because I was making money, but more fun, I guess.
Yeah. I also vividly remember, because I was doing the Google Sheet thing too. I thought I was going to be a billionaire breeding these cats. It didn't work out. Dapper Labs, I think, still has some issues to work out, even with a project like Top Shot, which I saw in my research that you were a little bit involved in. But I remember that being one of the first times I had the Ethereum not being real money effect either. I wasn't looking at it as, hey, I'm trading a picture of a cat and trying to breed a picture of a cat for $500. I'm doing it with 0.5 ETH or something like that. I remember that vividly being my first not caring about the dollar amount because it was on ETH. That was those are fun times, man.
That was the thing. Before that, it was simply a token you bought because you thought the price would go up, and you weren't doing anything with it, right? You weren't earning Ethereum. Whereas this was that's why that disconnect exists, because in NFT, or just in DeFi Summer, or just whenever you can use something to make more of it, your goals sometimes change to making more of it rather than more dollars, because if it can go up in price and you can make more of it, oh, great.
Hmm.
Double dipping the profit.
Yeah, I want to roll this into a conversation and move along the timeline. I could stay in 2017 for a while, but let's continue to move on. I think probably the best way to kind of get a recap from then to now is probably to, I could use Dapper Labs maybe as a bridge here, so we could talk about how, maybe why CryptoKitties isn't as big today, being one of those first projects, and Top Shot kind of leading into this next bull run. So I guess let me frame this question. I know I kind of talked out loud for this piece, but why don't you think CryptoKitties is a bigger project today?
Well, for I guess a similar reason that people are unhappy with Top Shot, because CryptoKitties always had the goal of effectively, I mean, it wasn't their goal, but it was effectively a Web 2 company in a Web 3 space. And Top Shot is kind of a Web 2 thing. It's a product. They're offering you collecting cards on the blockchain. Well, they're offering you moments, which is the change, but that's what they're offering. They're trying to replicate the card collecting world. And that doesn't mean that you profit. I think Top Shot would have done much better if all the other collections didn't exist, because people just have an absolutely inflated view of what should happen when you buy a good NFT. The price should go up because it's good. And in reality, CryptoKitties should now be a relic. It should be, this was the first ERC 721. It is what I call the first wave of adoption. It got in. It was the first project ever to 100,000 unique users, which is still quite an insane number. Like, very few have ever done. I think Axie Infinity were the next to do it, and then it might have even been Top Shot. So I think it went Dapper, Axie, and Axie exists because of Dapper. The team met in CryptoKitties, and then Dapper again. So what Dapper are good at doing is getting lots of people in, and that was always their goal. That was one of the issues with CryptoKitties. Well, it was the supply and demand aspect, but Dapper, I remember maybe middle of December somewhere, did an article where they said we want there to be CryptoKitties that are $2 to $3, and Discord rioted.
Yeah.
And they said this from the start of Top Shot. They said, look, price has to be low. We need people to get in. Our goal is to bring people to they're one of the only companies who say our goal is to bring as many people to NFTs as we can, and then they do actions that try and do that. And then people don't like that, because when you get loads of people in, you actually need really cheap NFTs. And when all you're really after is profit, you're not too much of a fan.
This is a really cool conversation, because I feel like people are having this convo now with Solana, saying, hey, there's not going to be a lot of gas fees here on this protocol, so we can do $2 to $3 NFTs. So here's adoption. But how do you merge these two thought processes of still being in Web3, still having a small community that's looking for, not to have their NFT or their asset completely diluted, with trying to bring new people into the project? Is there a way to do that at scale, or is it just two that are never going to work together?
I think there is a way to do it, but I do think you need the demand. You, what we're seeing is the projects that have gone big, I think go big before they have the people to go big, because they then say, "Oh, but then we're ready for when they come." But if you can just mint these almost out of nowhere for very cheap on Solana, on Flow, then in my opinion, what you should be doing is waiting until that demand comes and then minting. Um, so you should just try to meet the demand instead of it gets tricky because when you start having VCs involved and you have targets to meet, and then they, if we can sell more of this so that we can meet that target, which unlocks bursary A, it just gets it. It's not a one solution solves all, because there are things behind the scenes that I couldn't possibly know about, I guess.
Man, I'm very, very happy with this convo. I mean, gaming is having this dilemma, in my opinion. You mentioned Axie. There's a lot of big assets that are being sold, bought and sold in the NFT space when it comes to gaming, but that doesn't really lead to a great playing experience for people that are used to free to play games, that are spending just $10, $20 here and there on their avatar or something like this. How does that work with trying to sell an asset that you bought at 100 for 1,000? That I know I could stay here for a while, but definitely like your thoughts here on this subject.
Yeah, so I've always been, well, I kind of go through phases with gaming because, as I said, it was the sort of my gaming past that made CryptoKitties click for me instantly, and I was like, right, where else can these happen in the world? Where do I see this going? And at the time, and I think it's still pretty big, it was Clash of Clans was the big mobile game of the time, and people were wailing out and giving all this money to the company just for prestige. And I was wondering if instead of the money going straight to the company, what if 50% of everything you spent went into some sort of prize pool that people were competing for? And in that way, it was a sustainable model because the money was coming in from people paying because they wanted to play or compete. Effectively, it's almost the opposite of what's happening in NFTs now. The whales are feeding the. I can't even remember. It's too late. I can't remember what the little
It is midnight there.
tadpoles or whatever.
Krill?
So yeah, krill. So the whales feed the krill, whereas what we saw with Axie during their big run up is the whales were just getting the krill to work for them and split the profits with the krill. But where are those profits coming from? And it it was effectively speculators. People were speculating the price of AXS or Smooth Love Potion were going to go up, and they were buying, and they were effectively exit liquidity for. Was it? It wasn't Venezuela, was it? Which country? The one country
Philippines.
was Philippines. It was a huge amount of their GDP, a huge amount for a game anyway. Um, and you're just, where is this money coming from? Whereas in a game that people want to compete at, like so many of these mobile games are just absolute money sinks of pay to win. Like the amount of ads I've seen for Raid Shadow Legends, there must be a lot of people paying to play that game just to win. They're not trying to profit. But if you took some of that whale cash and pumped it in, like if the gems you bought in these mobile games was a token, and in ERC20, maybe on whatever chain to make it free, hopefully Immutable X down the line. If that was all possible, that's the sort of ecosystem I can see working, because it works straight up. If people are paying to play, and they can let the lower down people compete for some of that money, they then, as the whales, have people to almost show off to, right? They want to be top of those leaderboards. And to be top of the leaderboards, you want loads of people playing the game. And there will be people if there's some money to be made. So it's almost the opposite that we currently see. I'm sure there's far more complicated ways to make this sort of thing work, but I can't figure that out. And for looking at the stats, I don't think anyone else has yet either.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely on the fringes of things. It's tough to figure out. We're trying to, solve this equation as we go. So there's a lot of people in the NFT space between that 17 time and sitting here in 2022. You mentioned Immutable X, so I'm thinking Gods Unchained there. You mentioned Axie Infinity. Is there a project within that time frame that you thought was gonna be a lot bigger at this point, that from that 2017 to now? Was Decentraland something that you immediately thought, hey, this is going to pop, or maybe you kind of predicted that it wasn't going to take hold? Because in my opinion, it really hasn't done as well as Sandbox, maybe even CryptoVoxels at this point. But it was Gods Unchained something you'd think would be more popular now? So maybe just a lightning question there. Are there any projects you think that you thought would be bigger at this point?
Oh, I invested in so many games, an unbelievable amount of games, and they all died except Axie. One of them was incredibly annoying because I spent 1 Ethereum on however many tokens. Then it was almost like an ICO game. So went to their fancy website, better than any NFT project website you see now. Huge white paper. Read through that. Oh, this is going to be great. It was along the lines of Star Citizen, high end space game. There's one similar-ish on Solana now, which
Star
I completely
Atlas.
forget. Yes, that's the one. So it was 2017, along those lines. I get something like 2 billion of their token. They die in 2018. And a different project, some sort of supercomputer, take up the same ticker. So now when I do tax software, it thinks I've got 2 billion of this top 200 coin, and it throws every time I started a new software, it thinks I'm a billionaire, and it's so annoying.
That reminds me of the old Blockfolio errors. Do you remember those errors on like Ether Delta, where you'd wake up, you'd be like, "Holy shit, I'm a billionaire, a millionaire."
What a night! Oh no, actually, I can't sell that.
Yeah, man, I've got so many questions, but we definitely want to get what you're doing at Purrnelopes down. So within that NFT kind of run up, I think the first thing that I remember kind of interacting with, and we joked about this on our roundtable show yesterday, was Wax, right? Like Wax was a big project at the time. NFTBoxes, I think. You guys were doing a lot of projects on Wax, if I'm not mistaken. I remember NFTBoxes being a really cool project, and you co-founded that. So kind of give me your thoughts on Wax there as well. That could be one that maybe I thought would have more adoption, but also it just feels like it never got that connection to Ethereum. So your take on Wax, and then kind of moving us into NFTBoxes.
I completely dismiss Wax the day there was one day, maybe 2018, where they bought the CryptoKitty floor. They did the equivalent of sweeping the floor. They opened up Gem or Genie, but that was never done. Back in the day, you did not sweep floors. You looked for certain things and you bought that NFT, and they must have bought maybe 500, maybe 1,000 CryptoKitties off the floor to sell on their site in Wax. No one bought them because it made absolutely no sense. These were the worst cats of the worst. They were so cheap. There was absolutely no reason to go to Wax and buy these. And at this point, I just thought these guys don't have a clue about NFTs. And then looking into it more, the whole... I don't know how many PCs it actually runs on, but it felt like it was on about 5. Not very decentralized. I just didn't see the reason to... I even did more stuff on Tron. I liked Tron more for my sins.
Shout out to Justin Sun. I haven't said that in a minute on the show. But
he's left. He left Tron. He's running politics now.
Yeah, well, I guess with millions and billions of dollars, you can do that. So I don't know. Did you guys have Wax projects in NFTBoxes? Am I remembering that incorrectly?
No, I don't think that was us. That
Okay.
must have been someone else because we launched January 2021,
Okay.
and
Dude,
what was Wax
that
doing
must have
then?
been 10 years ago, so I get my
Yeah,
timelines confused.
yeah,
So
yeah.
tell me a little bit about this because obviously, you co-founded that with Pranksy. What was that, I guess origin story and you ended up leaving the project. I'd love to hear kind of just a quick, note on this time in your life in NFTs.
I guess the rundown is I knew Pranksy pre NFTs. I got Pranksy into CryptoKitties. We sort of degened NFTs together. I knew him through gambling, so we were both degenning in almost every area of our life. Um, just going through the NFT waves, all the different 2018 stuff, crypto celebrities, Ethermon, uh, CSC, all these different projects, and then just stocking up goods. I remember at one point Pranksy was trying to convince a group of us to buy something like 500 CryptoPunks for zero point 0.2 ETH each. And as a group, we didn't go for it because I think the floor was like 0.15, but you would never have got that much volume because you'd have moved the floor too much. And he stocked up quite a few. Sort of basically, we were just degenerate NFT friends. And I idea of building a box based thing and selling what we called at the time our bags, all the dead NFT, like it wasn't even the Yetis of this world. It was NFTs that you could no longer see because they weren't even ERC 721s. They were basically reskinned ERC 20s, and the images, the websites were long gone, and I can't even find the tokens now if I wanted of so many projects. And just we had a group Discord with quite a lot of people, and that sort of idea would always just crop up with no one ever actually building on it. And I'd sent Pranksy a DM 2020 December, maybe 2 weeks before Christmas, and just said, "Look, should we do it properly? You know a lot of artists at this point, because I think he'd just done a big build in Crypto Voxels, Pranksyland, where he got different artists in each plot to go with a theme. And the idea was you do that sort of thing, but in a box. The artist gets other artists in, so people buy a box and they get 10 bits of curated art. Maybe add in some projects as well, which Sandbox did every every single time, every single box they put something in. They were very, very good to work with. And I would basically my side of the business was community, talking to the people in Discord all the time, um, figuring out what it was they were after, and then finding the devs, organizing the devs, getting the website up. All the sort of I get it. I had to get it to work, and he had to get it to sell
Hmm.
and fill the box. So he would talk to the artists and sell it, and I would talk to the devs and the community. And I ended up selling my half to him just because we wanted very different things. I wanted to focus on um, the community. So it was almost like the Top Shot conundrum. Um, if they keep putting these things out without any reason, the prices would drop. So I wanted to gamify the art so that the community would keep art pieces they didn't want. Whereas Pranksy would go, no, look, I'm talking to the artists all day. I can't say, hey, can you put some art in this box? But then eventually it might be
A
ponzified.
utility. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, but look, the community need this. And he was like, but the artists need this. And I was like, okay, look, we're not going to, because we were 50-50 in a UK registered business. So I said, okay, I'll sell my half to you and go do the community stuff. And you can stay here and do the art stuff. So we still talk, most days, still friends. So it was more for a good split, I guess.
Yeah, and you guys did a great job with that project. Obviously, I mean, I remember it just being a great mover at the time with the different artists and all these different things that you're mentioning. Pranksy obviously is a big personality as well in the NFT space. Has had a lot of different projects that he's been involved in. You mentioned you're still friends with him. I don't know him personally, of course. What is the role of influencers in the NFT space today? Because Pranksy has had effect on like I mentioned a bunch of different NFT projects. You seem to have some knowledge behind the curtain a little bit of what goes on. What is the role of influencers in today's NFT market? Maybe especially in the bear market.
Well, they pretty much decide what people buy, right? It's just marketing is everything in NFTs right now, and I guess when you say the word influencer, generally there's bad energy there. People aren't too happy with the word influencer. Like if you were doing a good or bad, quick move, like you'd say words and people have to say good or bad. Dog, good. Cat, good. Influencer, I think most people would say bad. You see that word as a bad thing, and I guess in this space, I would say, maybe the last year, Pranksy has seen his influence that he's had and really stepped back and trying to do things properly and not the absolute shill fest that we see with others, where they're just like, oh my god, I just minted upside down yellow birds. I saw a video for
That probably exists.
it almost certainly does, because yellow is like OX, right? I saw bird boobs, moon boobs, which is just moon birds, but they've put boobs on from probably one of the crypto dick butts derivatives.
That sounds like a good combination, to be honest.
That team's building, right? And the issue is people follow influencers because they can make money, knowing you have to follow influencers to know where the market's going if you care. If you're day trading NFTs or week trading NFTs, you have to follow them, and that gives them a bigger. It's almost like trading rules. Like traders have these rules that if X happens, Y then happens. And if influencer tweets X, Y happens, because people think Y will happen. It just makes it happen. And that just makes them stronger for the next time, because the people who followed their call have made money. And I think a lot of people, if done in a different sphere of influence, would be heavily fined for their actions. I think back to I don't watch it, but in the UK there's a show called Love Island, and generally people go on to become influencers because they're on the TV for a month, and when they come out they get good brand deals. And a year or two ago, someone was fined pretty badly for doing it was something like a £2,000 shill and not disclosing that it was an ad. £2,000 is absolutely nothing to a high influencer here, and I do not see #ad almost ever.
It's very true.
I've just bought into even giving away whitelist spots. People need to put ad if they have in any way benefited, and doing a giveaway benefits you. Luckily, I'm covered because I do giveaways for my own project, so you're covered there because it's quite clear. If Bill Gates is tweeting about Microsoft, you should probably know he likes Microsoft.
Yeah, we're very much in an environment of the Wild West, as people mainly have used as an example. So there's a lot of things that go on that wouldn't go on more established sectors. So another being doxed teams, right? Like I'm sitting here next to a very dapper cat here on the video. as we sit here on the Nifty Q Show, guys. We do this every Wednesday, Thursday, usually at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard. But today we're coming here a little bit later, so I just wanted to get a quick shout out to you guys. But sitting here next to a cat, you are not, you're semi-doxed, as we talked about before the episode. Your team is doxed as well. But what is the role of, doxed individuals or not undoxed individuals here? I think that's a big, talking point here today, as we see some rugs happening from, undoxed teams. What do you make of the doxed versus undoxed debate?
I think it's getting more important, and I think it only really recently became more important. There was that case where two people basically rugged everyone, went to court, and I think they've ended up in prison for a certain amount of time, or heavily, maybe 15 years in prison or something. Like, you see so much in the NFT space.
Was it
every
the couple?
day.
Was it the couple? Are you talking to?
No, it's the rapper girl who hacked. Mm-hmm. No, this was an NFT project founder who minted and then basically said, "See you later, we're rugging." I can't remember exactly who. It's not Pixelmon, the New Zealand guy, although he did make the news over there. But there has I can't. It was not Squiggles, but it was maybe along that kind of line where they minted and then didn't do anything and went to court, and they've been jailed for it. And then suddenly quite a lot of projects came back and started tweeting because they think, right, we need a minimum viable roadmap production here so that we don't end up in jail. And when there is a real risk of properly, because obviously one project in thousands that have rugged isn't a big risk. When there's a real high chance that just straight up rugging or having the intention to just mint and do nothing does send you to jail, then I think being fully doxed is going to be, a thing. And while I am a cat, that's mainly because it's... Have you seen the meme where there's all those absolutely massive Chad gym guys like typing on their laptops to the little weak kid, and they're like, "You got it, king. You got this." When I'm a cat, in everyone's mind, I'm the Chad. I'm the big chin sort of Chad guy that basically I'm size Chad. And then when I dox, I'm not.
So you're letting everyone fill in the void of who you are as an individual? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. They fill in the imagination, right? That's not even like planned or anything like that. It's just at this point, I just don't have a webcam, and that was my first that was my first few interviews, and then it was like, well, now I kind of can't. The Purrnelopes is a UK, again, like NFTBoxes, a UK registered business. It's registered to me. I'm not hiding. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm undoxed. I am doxed. I just don't like to share it, I guess.
Yeah, NFT ethics probably will get on the case here.
NFT ethics knows where I live almost certainly, but they've got nothing to post about. And anyone, I've had community members send me my address, like not in a threatening way or anything, but they were like, if I wanted to send you some merch, could I send it here? And I was like, as long as it's not a nail bomb or whatever, fine.
Well, what I'm getting from you here is that I would probably be cooler if I was undoxed. So I don't know if I can reverse this feature. Once you doxed, you're doxed. So
you just need a new name, right?
Yeah, that's true. Just create a new persona. Later, guys. We're gonna end the stream now. But anyways, let's get into Purrnelopes here, man. I want to hear how you kind of founded the Purrnelopes Country Club. Really, really cool project. You guys have been around for a year. Obviously, you have this reputation as being a really solid individual in the space. So I think a really solid, foundation there for any project. But tell me a little bit about Purrnelopes.
Yeah, so it was born out of selling my half of NFT boxes to Pranksy. And I guess, like as you were just saying, reputation does matter. And I have used the same wallet since the days of CryptoKitties. I have used, other wallets when I don't want everyone to know what I'm buying or selling, just because even in my level of non-influencer, I don't like people knowing that I'm buying an X and then I'm selling a Y, because I start to get messages like, "Oh, why are you selling my project?" It's like, well, because I kind of want to profit sometimes. And I have 16,500 transactions on my main wallet, never scammed anyone. So that's sort of, and these are mostly NFT trades or mints or whatever. And what I've done there is I've built a reputation of, being trustworthy, which is probably more useful than just having my name, because, your name you technically can change, but I can never change that wallet's transactions. So Purrnelopes was, I wanted to do it right. It is a profile picture project, but done right is kind of how I sell it. And a profile picture project, in reality, is just a Web3 business, because you can do anything once you've got that profile picture. People go for games, people go for education, people go for tokens. There are loads of different ways you can take it. You can go alpha groups, and being nimble is very important, because you don't know. It's not even what the next meta is. It's what's the next breakthrough in this tech. So recently we airdropped a grandma to all Purrnelopes Country Club holders. And the little Easter egg we had in there is, if you own the same number Penelope as you have grandma, the grandma will hold up a frame of the Penelope in front of her, like all proud of the Penelope, and that changes on OpenSea as soon as it's in your wallet. And that's not even like a big tech thing. That's not even new, but you don't know what's next. We don't know what's coming. So being able to pivot, what we do is we focus firstly on the community. So it is a meme. I know everyone says community, but we actually communicate with them. We've got 60 plus YouTube videos in less than a year out there. We've got lots of Medium articles. We've got thousands of tweets on our account. We put out maybe 4 to 6 tweets a day, all planned by the social media team, just like a normal business would. But that's very rare in NFTs. And like I said, we've done 8 airdrops, all of which have multi-purpose. So we're going to release an NFT called the Collection Log, which sort of shows what you have within our universe. And like the grandma, that will update in real time. So if you've got a Penelope, it will show, and then if you sell it, it leaves.
Can I just say that the grandma piece is an interesting piece of game theory there that I'm sure went well, but you got people eventually just asking, "Where's my grandma?" So essentially, you would need to match the cat with the grandma to get the feature you were talking about. So eventually, somebody would get your grandma and not sell you it, so then you couldn't get this feature. I just think it's a cool game theory piece there.
You've said something that was incredibly interesting to me when this happened, because normally you mint an NFT, and whatever NFT you get, that's yours. That's your NFT. Whereas, as you've just said, people have been going, "You've got my grandma." When no, you've got your NFT. They have your matching grandma, but people don't see it that way. We've changed how they view the NFT, which was very interesting to see a community get. Someone's built a site where you put in your wallet and it will tell you who has, air quotes, your grandma, so you can hunt them down to try and do a deal. We did on purpose not really make rare traits, because when you're going for a swap, there are some that are rarer, but there's no gold ape, there's no gold grandma. And that's so that the trades are much easier. Hey, can I swap this for this? Yeah, because it's better for you. We aren't really seeing any scalping, which was my worry, because we had a companion earlier. It was our second airdrop, the kittens, and they're held up with arms. They're sort of dangling in the picture, and you can just see arms. And those arms are the Purrnelopes. And again, the kitten, the arms in the kitten profile picture match the cat number. So my cat number kitten form has the gold arms dangling down, holding the kitten, and then we have the grandma holding the frame. So we've kind of progressed it with the grandma, and we've got a few ideas how to take that further down the line.
Well, I hope
But
everybody
I
at
can't
home
spell.
can. I hope everyone at home can understand like the importance of the conversation that's and the I guess evolution of what you guys are doing with Purrnelopes, because that is one of the first times that I've heard exactly what you talked about of any other project of trying to assign ownership to something that's really not yours. And I say that facetiously. I say that like totally in a funny way. But that is one of the first times where I've heard of people, saying, hey, even though I don't own that, based on the lore or based on the storyline of this project, that is mine. Like that's a cool feature that you guys have added.
And that's kind of what NFTs are all about. For me, online ownership, and the other key thing is connection. And it originally, when I came into this space, I thought it would be connection with other people, which obviously it can be. So an artist can connect with their collectors much easier because they know where all the pieces they've sold are. But this was a different connection with an NFT, which completely blindsided me. Like for at least maybe the first 3 years of NFTing, I just didn't think your connection would be with the NFT or even with lore. Whereas people are now proving that the connection can be with, I guess, in a way, almost anything. If you can connect with an NFT, what can't you connect with? Are you muted? Sorry, I thought it might have been my headset.
I'm muted. Let me check.
I changed the battery in my headset because I thought it had run out.
Oh.
But I can't hear you.
I should be coming through. I see my levels here on YouTube. Guys, let me know if you can still hear me. Can you not hear me? Oh, it looks like we're good on the YouTube side.
I can hear you on the YouTube recording, but I can't hear you here.
Okay. You can't hear me anymore? Okay. All right, how are we doing now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Guys, this is a late night NFTYQ show. That is why you're getting all of these mishaps, if you will. So, all right, we'll move on to the kind of roadmap updates here. I wanted to get
Cool.
what Purrnelopes is getting into as it relates to any upcoming features. I know the token is one that I'm really interested in as it relates to adding NFTs adding ERC20s to current NFT projects. I feel like a lot of projects do that when they're not ready to, and I think you have the idea that we're building, for that demand, like you mentioned earlier, that NFT projects should be doing that. So take me into any updates as it's relating to Purrnelopes and then into that token piece.
Yeah, so token is a huge part of where we're going. And we're currently effectively doing a token sale. We have a sale coming up where we're selling NFTs that will yield 20% of the total supply of token over a 15-year period. So this will slowly, daily be released to people. And the powerful thing about tokens there is you can stop people having to sell their NFT for profit. The so we're everything we're doing right now is to try and connect people to their NFT. We've done this grandma thing, we want them to think about why they want their NFTs, and an absolutely huge thing we've done is ENS subdomains, where they effectively name their cat. Again, it adds to the stickiness. People want to keep their ENS subdomain, they want to keep their wallet, they want to keep their grandma, they might want to keep their set. And if all you're doing is keeping stuff, this space sadly is at the moment mostly about profit. So we can give them this token, which they can sell, but our job is to make them not want to sell it. So it's going to be our ecosystem token, and we will be constantly putting out updates of how they can spend it. And I've just had to watch all the other projects. So like you said, they put it out before they're ready. Right next to me here is I've got a bit of a contract here for opening up the company that will launch token, and it was registered on it's probably best not to say the day, it might dox it, but the first 2 weeks of December last year. So we're looking at almost 6 months ago, actually probably over 6 months ago now, that we registered a company to launch token. So we have been thinking about this for a long time. We're making sure that we do it right. And when you do launch it, the main thing you need is utility. So again, something that Bored Apes didn't do, but they didn't need to. But everyone else will need to. Because who wants your token just because it's there?
Yeah.
You need to give them a reason. So we will be launching with multiple reasons to use your token instead of sell it, multiple reasons to buy it, because obviously if people are going to want to sell it, we need to convince people to buy it. So we need to create reasons to buy it when you don't own a Purrnelopes Country Club NFT as well. We need to try and tap into a wider market.
Any examples you can give off the bat, or you guys have that under wraps for now?
The one purpose that I've already shared, so I can. I'm not very good at keeping things secret. Is our tier 2. So the grandmas and the kittens are kind of, well, they're what we call tier 3. So in the Bored Ape ecosystem, they would be your kennel club, the dog. Tier 2 would be the mutants, or for punks it would be the me-bit. So our tier 2 will only be claimable via token. And that's mainly because it's the best way at the moment to give a use case for a token. Cyberkongs did it with their babies. You could breed 2 Cyberkongs with a certain amount of banana, and that saw a lot of demand. Their issue was when they came to the end of babies, they didn't have anything else for banana to be spent on. So there was a huge cliff in demand on banana right away. And suddenly everyone that had banana was trying to sell it because they had no reason to keep hold of it. And then they release something later. So what we're trying to do is build up sort of a pipeline of things that we can release at certain points that hopefully mean, if we've calculated it correctly, that demand will be matched pretty well as token continues to come out. And the thing with an NFT is, in reality, it only costs us work time. The artist has to make the art, the dev has to create the contract, the web dev or the ideas guy need to make a reason for that NFT to exist. Whereas we're also sending out physical models, but the issue with the models is they cost money. So we have to pay to create them, which means if we take token for them, we have to sell that token. So it's not really taking it out of the ecosystem, which is why the NFT is so good, because you can just completely remove that token without having to put it in to replenish anything. So that's the first one I've revealed.
What other roadmap features can you get to before we get out of the episode here, man? I think it's been a good one. We're hitting at about an hour, so just wanted to get on some roadmap features with what you guys are building.
Well, if I had to talk about just one, it would be subdomains. But if I quickly whip through, say, the biggies, we have an NFT world coming, built by Entity Builds. It's coming out with 4 games. A golf game, a zombie apocalypse game, an escape room, and a PvP game. And because it's NFT worlds, it's sort of in a Minecrafty based world, based on, the most battle hardened gaming tech in the world, because Minecraft is the most played. That will have the world token introduced originally, and it won't be play to earn, it'll be play and earn. So get the most zombie kills in a day, get some token. Get the best score on golf, get some token. It'll be based on achievements rather than turning up, which I think is most projects' problem right now. They pay you to turn up, basically. So that's the world. We have a fresh website coming, which will in time host a different type of game, which I'm calling a social game, which you may have seen the subdomains floating around on Twitter. I don't know if you've played any sort of NFT games at the moment. Cool Cats game, DeFi Kingdoms, click on quest, accept transaction, off they go. The Cool Cats website is excellent. It's a very smooth experience, but I think we're seeing the floor drop because it's not super fun.
Yeah.
What I want to do is sort of take that a different route. I want that excellent smooth website, but I want your quests to be related to your ENS subdomain. So you can link your ENS subdomain to an API of almost anything Web 2. So because it's the most useful for sort of a project, we'll start with Twitter, and your quest for the day could be like 10 other .pcc.eth tweets. Something as simple like that. And what that does is it makes your community interact with each other somewhere else instead of Discord. They're liking each other's tweets on Twitter. Algo hits up. They start seeing other PCC.ethers. They get closer as a community. They chat more. You've got a more active community. When built into a smooth website with leaderboards, and currently we just have a Discord bot that tells you how many other .pcc.eths you're following, and people love it. There's no rewards, there's no nothing. They just cool. want to follow other PCC.ethers, and it gives you hints. So say you follow, I think there are about 450 at the moment, and if you follow 350, it will give you a hint of one that you're not following, and it will also tell you all the fake ones that you're following, because people saw that we were doing this and just started putting .pcc.eth in their name to get free followers. Well, now we got another sort of quest, which is go and follow all the unfollow all the fake ones that you do follow, and it just gives you a big list of everyone that have briefly tricked you before you fix it.
Well, I think you're onto something there with the .pcc too, because it's taking up real estate, or like filling a valuable portion of real estate on one of the most active NFT community websites, out there, right? Social media is out there. Like Rug Radio, I think, experimented with this with their Twitter header, where if you go to somebody's Twitter header, there's real estate there that can be utilized by an NFT project. PFPs are a great example of that within the profile picture, but you guys are doing that in the actual profile name. I think it's genius.
Yeah, so it's your brand dot your favorite brand, which currently is us because there's no one else, favorite by default, and then your favorite chain, which is obviously ETH, or you're crazy. So it just allows people to both be themselves while also telling people more about them, which I think is where NFTs will go anyway. Your wallet's going to end up being an expression of yourself when we can curate it a bit more. Because obviously right now all my wallet would tell anyone is that I hold NFTs that make people spam flyers at me for their mint. Whereas in the future, it's a second profile picture, isn't it? So
Yep.
we've got quits.pcc.eth, who is a large Twitter account who reps a Bored Ape as a profile picture, but has quit.pcc.eth as his username. And he tells us he gets asked all the time about that, because it is advertising real estate when you're thinking about it from a project, and it's just another avatar when you're a member of the project.
100%. I love that, man. This episode has been great, man. This interview has been fantastic. I know it's late where you're at. I'm sure you're a little bit of a night owl, as all our NFT friends usually are, but I definitely want to let you go relatively quickly here. So any last points that you want to make as it's related to a Purrnelopes country club here, and just any info?
I guess I should shill our sale while I'm here. We have this sale coming up for 0.1 ETH. We're going to be doing it as soon as we hit our second tax year, just so we don't sell and get hit instantly with a 21% tax before we can spend it on salary and all like that. Properly set up, year of history of actually delivering, doing exciting things, and not rugging. So why not mint from us instead of minting an upside down goblin when even if we don't pump in that first 4 minutes before you decide to sell for a loss, that in 6 months we'll still be here. And I guess apart from ENS and Token and NFT Worlds, the most exciting thing for me is experimenting with just NFT, these little pushes in how you can use NFTs. So the grandma isn't new tech, but it's a useful social use. And I'm excited for what the collection log will then do with similar sort of utility.
Love it, man. All right, well, I'm going to get out of here now, guys. Me and Carlini are gonna take it easy here for the rest of the night. I appreciate you showing up here on the NFTYQ show, Carlini. It's always great to catch up with a fellow 2017 DGen, man. I appreciate you hopping on today.
No, thanks for having me. It's been great fun.
All right, guys, we are taking out later.
Cheers. Thank you.